Welcome into the Ohio State Football Report. I am Tom Downey. As promised, we're breaking down the Chip Kelly replacements as the Ohio State Buckeyes search for a new offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly off to the Las Vegas Raiders. We're making $6 million per year, which is a lot more than most college football head coaches make. So disappointing, but I get it from Chip's perspective. It still stinks, though, for the Buckeyes. So we're breaking down 10. I'm cheating a little bit here, but I don't care. Candidates for the Ohio State vacant offensive coordinator and play calling job, which may or may not be the same person. We'll get to that later on in today's show. Now, my boss, James Yoder, a noted Michigan fan and troll, has doubled down on his bet with us here. Last time we got to 400, we blew it out of the water. So he wants 1,000 this time, and I think we can easily win this double or nothing. Help us out, like today's video, especially if you want more Ohio State football videos in the future. Number 10, and this is partially me just trolling James Franklin and sniping back, after the Jim Knowles loss there. Andy Kotelnicki, I think I got that right. If not, terribly sorry, Andy. That is the Penn State offensive coordinator who does a lot of very creative things, did a great job with Buffalo, was very impressive with Kansas. Penn State paid him big money. This is like, you stole our guy, now we're going to steal your guy. I don't know if he wants to do that. I'm sure he's making plenty of money right now for the Nittany Lions. But if you want to go get just the best offensive coordinator out there, this would be a name I think that should be pretty high on the list. Let's go to number 9. Now this one, again, we're going, maybe least likely to most likely here. Tommy Rees, the Browns offensive coordinator. He has had a rapid rise, then a brief fall, now back up again. In his coaching career, the former Notre Dame quarterback was the Notre Dame OC for several years, then left, took the Bama offensive coordinator job. Nick Saban is a big fan of him. Unfortunately, when Nick Saban retired, it kind of left Tommy Rees caught in no man's land. Was the Browns tight ends coach for a year, is now their offensive coordinator, as I'm sure there are many Browns fans watching. Now dealing with Myles Garrett trade requests, which is not a fun time. Sorry, guys. He is a non-play calling OC, though. This would be, in theory, a play calling role if you were to take the Buckeyes gig. All right, number 8 is Will Stein, the Oregon offensive coordinator. Now, he didn't have many answers against the Buckeyes. That should be noted. I do worry a little bit about him. I don't love all of what Oregon does from an offensive perspective. There are times I think it is not gimmicky, but it's not a truly off-the-top, great, high-end, impactful game planning scheme there. He was with UTSA, then quickly became the Oregon OC, the former Louisville quarterback. This is certainly one of the bigger names, and it would be a nice little stick it to Oregon after they maybe stole some players and recruits from you. Now, this will be the pinned comment on today's video. Who do you want as the next Ohio State offensive coordinator? The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Number 7, Mike Shanahan. And no, it's not that one. I don't know what the odds are on there being 2 Mike Shanahans in the coaching world. This is the Indiana offensive coordinator, who's just 35 years old, by the way. Rose from James Madison OC to the Indiana offensive coordinator. I thought did a really good job with not the most talented personnel around him. This would be, he's been a Curt Cignetti guy for a long time, so you're kind of negatively impacting that maybe. Played at Pitt, so there are some bigger program ties here. I was impressed by him. This is you want to go get that young, innovative offensive mind? Shanahan, I think, would fit that, which is, it still feels weird saying that because it's the same name as the NFL legend, but it's the name. Number 6 is Jeff Nixon, the Syracuse offensive coordinator. So again, some other top young offensive minds that have been out there in terms of Nixon, who I thought did a very good job with Kyle McCord this past season. Now, he's had not maybe the youngest, he's been a coach for a long time. Eagles offensive assistant, was the Dolphins running backs coach for several years. Kind of got to become an OC again after doing it briefly with the Panthers and Baylor. I liked what I saw out of Nixon and the Syracuse offense. It was a more gunslinging-esque offense. Might not be a perfect fit for the Ohio State Buckeyes, but it is also worth mentioning, as it relates to Nixon, there are some ties here to the Ryan Day staff with the Niners back in 2016. So, or I guess that was technically still the Chip Kelly staff, but Day as a part of that there. I think an under the radar name that hasn't been as mentioned nationally. But I think the ties with that Niners staff to Ryan Day, or at least make him worth putting on this list. Some more likely candidates to come, but first, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time's got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats. So don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It's curation to make it easier to find the best deals. Keep an eye out for the super deal. It is the best deal possible for any given event, such as that Stadium Series NHL game. Game Time guarantee is this. You find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Use the all-in pricing feature to see your total cost up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, lowest price, all guaranteed. Let's go to number 5 on this list. That is Neal Brown, the former West Virginia head coach, who had kind of risen up the coaching ranks in large part due to his offensive coaching background. He was the Troy offensive coordinator, Texas Tech, Kentucky, then becomes a Troy head coach. Was at West Virginia before everything got fired. Has a good relationship in theory with C.J. Donaldson, one of your backs there. Brown is out of a job right now. Has not taken any roles since West Virginia fired him. So jumping to a Power 5 OC role where he's had success before actually could be a good fit for all parties involved. Number 4, and this is 4 and 3 have some similar ties here. Joe Moorhead is the Akron head coach. Now, Moorhead's path to coaching has been, he's not a young man by any stretch of the imagination. He was lower ranking for a while. Akron OC, Connecticut, Fordham head coach, then the Penn State OC where he had a lot of success with the Nittany Lions, jumps to Mississippi State, doesn't last long, gets fired. I don't think has been I'll put it this way. I don't think he's a very good head coach. I think he has kind of showed that more than anything at Mississippi State. And yeah, he's not having great success at Akron. I would also like to point out that it's Akron, and that is not an easy place to win. And he did double their win total this past season, but he kind of got forced out pretty quickly at Mississippi State. But as an offensive mind, I like a lot of what he brings. He's still only technically 51 years old. He's got ties to, if we can count Pitt and Pennsylvania as the Midwest, that works there. I am intrigued by Moorhead as a candidate if you want to give the OC true play calling duties. Now, what is your concern level with Chip Kelly potentially leaving? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Number 3 is Jason Candle, and this would be in the same way that I think Chip Kelly was kind of a home run hire when they got him. I think Jason Candle would be a home run hire as well. He has had a lot of success at Toledo. He was the OC for several years. He stayed a lot longer than you normally see these very successful Mid-American Conference coaches stick around. He's from Ohio, played his college ball at Mount Union. If you can find a way to land Jason Candle, and that was a popular name that last time they had to do this before they briefly hired Bill O'Brien, then pivoted to Chip Kelly, which is kind of crazy that we're doing this again. You're technically searching for your 4th offensive coordinator / play caller in like less than 2 years, and only one of them got moved on from us. It's crazy. Anyway, Candle would be a big get for Ohio State. And I would, in years past, I'd say no, this isn't possible, but we've seen other coaches take coordinator roles when they've been a G5 head coach or even a lower Power 5 head coach. Now, once the Buckeyes hire a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, we will have coverage of it for you. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Number 2 is Kevin Wilson. A return for Wilson I don't think would surprise very many people at all. He spent several years as the Ohio State offensive coordinator / tight ends coach. He was the Indiana head coach. He has a background, by the way, in offensive line. With Miami back in the early 90s, he was the offensive line coach, then the OC / O-line coach, then the OC / quarterbacks coach. Roles you're currently filling. You don't have anyone in line to be the quarterback's coach. That was Chip Kelly. The offensive line coach, Justin Fry, is gone. I would bet a decent amount of money in some capacity that Kevin Wilson is on this staff this upcoming year, whether it's OC or O-line coach, whatever. I think a Wilson return to the Buckeyes just makes a lot of sense. And there also is some continuity by bringing him back. But at number 1, I want to mention the internal options. It's Ryan Day / Brian Hartline. Now, Ryan Day, of course, was the Ohio State offensive coordinator / co-OC / the play caller. He was actively, and still I think even was with Chip Kelly, heavily involved in that area in terms of calling the plays for the Buckeyes and having input there. He could simply take back play calling duties. That wouldn't be a huge surprise, I don't think, to very many people. Now, there's also Brian Hartline, who was the OC in 2003 and has been the longtime wide receivers coach. And I don't know if you trust him to call plays, but I would bet he sticks as the co-OC title, / maybe they go back to 2023 and Hartline's the OC and maybe it's Ryan Day calling the plays there. I think that those options have to be mentioned here at number 1 because it's the least amount of change when you don't really need a lot of change. I could even see something like Kevin Wilson comes on as the O-line coach / OC, and Hartline stays in his role, and Day kind of calls the plays, or there's a lot of coordination with those 3 guys, and you bring in somebody else to be the QB's coach. See what happens, but Buckeyes facing a lot of change this offseason.